Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video on E.Stampley art. And in this particular video, we're going to be talking about Inktober 2019. I'd like to talk about my process and kind of how I got through all 31 days, the supplies I used, and kind of my particular process. I was very successful at it this year. I actually did 31 individual drawings / illustrations, and I'm very proud of myself, and a good hand to everybody out there who also participated in Inktober, whether you did all 31 days or half or just a few days and stuff. Good job. I know in the back of my mind I'm already thinking about 2020 and possible planning and stuff for that. But yeah, so let's get started. So first things first, I know I wanted to use actual ink, so I got all of my inks that I have either gotten in art boxes or I've purchased, and definitely wanted to use those in all of my Inktober works. So for the different drawings, these particular ones, the Marabou Aqua Ink Graphics or the Daler Rowney FW, I've gotten these in art subscription boxes and used them for some. And then the Winsor Newton Metallics, I purchased these in a set of 4 from Michaels. These Dr. P.H. Martin Bombay inks I also purchased from Michaels with coupons, because these things, one set can run $40 to almost $50. So yeah, but these were really, really great. I enjoyed working with them. They were really fun. They work really well, especially because you can dilute them with water to get different variations of tones and shades and all that kind of stuff. So they worked really, really well. So I recommend them for anybody who hasn't used the P.H. Martin inks. I definitely recommend them if you have any inkling to want to try them. They're wonderful. Another thing I know that I wanted to do to kind of test myself a little bit for Inktober was to kind of go back to old school dip pens for outlining my drawings. So I pulled out this old school pen holder and nib set that I had already that I haven't used in, oh goodness, ages. So this particular nib is a 512 and it worked really well. I'm going to try to play around with this more just on my own because I really, really enjoyed using it. It was a little difficult at first when I first started using it, but as I kept using it, it became a little more easy to use. There's a little more difficulties with it. You have to kind of keep your pen flat when you're making your lines, as opposed to kind of keeping it upright like you usually would with like a regular, pen liner. But once you kind of get the hang of it, it's really wonderful. And it's really great because the India ink, this is the particular India ink that I used this month. I believe it's PBO. Apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. India ink. This was wonderful, and it is black, and it is perfectly waterproof when it is dry. It is fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. The one thing I did notice with using the dip pen, you had to be really careful because when you're using it in the paper, it will kind of scratch into the paper a bit, which is kind of good because it gets the ink in there, but it also causes sometimes a buildup at the tip, so you might have to kind of clean that off every now and then. And also, obviously you have to keep dipping your pen in the ink to get the ink to keep going with your lines. But it goes really, really far. It goes further than you think it does. It really, really does. And also you just had to kind of be careful to make sure you didn't put too much ink in here, because sometimes you'd be going through a line and I would have it where, and I got a splot on my page, and once it's down, it's down. So you just kind of had to work around it. But other than that, I really enjoyed working with this. Next up is paper. So I had 2 of these particular mixed media sketchbooks that I had gotten, and so I figured I'd take one of them and use for Inktober, and it ended up being absolutely perfect to use. One, because in past Inktober's I've used bigger sketchbooks to try to do my drawings, and I felt the bigger page was a little bit more intimidating. I felt going down to a smaller size made it a little less intimidating, and you actually feel like you can actually do something and accomplish something as opposed to trying to fill up a whole page. This is actually a 5.5 by 8.5 size. It comes with 30 sheets. I ended up adding a sheet, opening up the spiral and adding another sheet to make it 31, since there are 31 days in the month. And this is actually a pretty thick paper. It's 138 pound. I mean, it's pretty thick, but it works really, really well for dry media and wet media and ink. The ink didn't bleed through. That was great. But yeah, no, it was absolutely wonderful. I would recommend this highly. Last but not least was planning. So instead of just going day by day, kind of with Inktober, I took the prompt list, printed it out, put it in my sketchbook, and then kind of divided it per week. And there were 4 weeks. So what I would do is, so the first week ended up being prompts 1 through 6, and I wrote them out in pink, and you can kind of see my process here. So I would write them out, you know, number 1, ring. So that was the prompt. And then I would think, what are the different things I can do to kind of make me think about what ring, you know, what can I draw? So obviously jewelry, the 1 ring, a la Lord of the Rings, planet rings, 3-ring circus, you could ring a bell, a circle is a ring. And then when the day came, I would do little thumbnail sketches of ideas that I could possibly do. Could be 1, could be, you know, this one had up to 4. But yeah, just to kind of get an idea of different things that I could sketch and do for that particular prompt. I did that for all of the 31 days, just to kind of, you know, planned it out. Some of them I only had 1 thumbnail, because I knew what I wanted to do. But yeah, it was very, very helpful. I think it made it much less intimidating. So now I'm going to go through my Inktober book and just kind of go through each of the days, tell you what the prompt is, and just kind of explain a little bit of my thought process behind each of the different ones. Okay, let's get started. So here's the first one. This is day 1, ring. So I went off the kind of 3-ring circus and did an acrobat performer. And this is what I was talking about. So I'm using the black Indian ink and 1 ink color. This color is from the Dr. P.H. Martin Bombay inks. And I basically kind of almost use the inks like watercolor a little bit. So for this particular prompt, I did like a 3-ring circus. So I had a little acrobat girl here and she's sitting in her ring doing her thing. And used the infamous Uniball gel white pen to give a little accent to her outfit as well. Day 2 was Mindless, and I thought of a robot. And I don't know why he's holding a leaf, maybe because, you know, October, it's fall, why not? I kind of thought of something, you know, non-organic as opposed to organic, and I guess that's kind of what I was going for. So I used, on this particular one, I used Tombow brush pens and watered them down a fair amount. And obviously the Indian ink, the very black Indian ink. Third day was bait. And I don't know, I just thought of a little boy fishing and using this little worm, and he accidentally gets like a little boot and stuff. So I just thought it was really cute, and he's like, "What is this?" And he sees the little worm there. I just thought it was cute. I really like it. And day 4, the prompt was freeze, and I couldn't help but to draw Elsa, which is kind of top of mind because Frozen 2 is about to come out, which I'm actually kind of excited to see, I have to say. It was a cute movie. First movie was cute. I have a feeling the second movie will be just as cute. But yeah, I had to draw the Ice Queen herself, Miss Elsa. Day 5 was build. And I don't know, I just thought House of Cards kind of made sense because you do build a house of cards. Doing the different little cards with their suits was kind of difficult, but I enjoyed the challenge. Day 6 was Husky. I kind of took a out-of-the-box approach to the word husky, which you might think of either as a dog or somebody who is a bigger person. And I was like, well, what about a corn husk? It's kind of husky. So I took an out-of-the-box approach and did a corn coming out of its husk. Day 7 was Enchanted. And I knew right away when I saw that prompt that I wanted to do a little witch. Kind of a la Kiki's Delivery Service a little bit, but kind of my own little fun witch girl. I really like this one. This is one of my favorites, definitely. On day 8, the prompt was Frail. And I wanted to do kind of an out-of-the-box thing. Frail is usually kind of associated with something that's broken or something that can be broken very easily, maybe an older person. I didn't really want to do that. So I don't know, I just thought about this, a guy who's already injured, and so if he's already injured, he is kind of frail in that particular out of the box kind of thinking. But I actually really like this one. It's kind of going a curve around the prompt, but I love it. Day 9, the prompt was swing, and I immediately saw that and I was like, well, you can do actually a child swinging or something else, but I loved doing the idea of swing dancing. So I had to do this cute little couple doing their little swing dancing, doing a little jive. For day 10, the prompt was pattern, and I immediately thought I wanted to do some kind of seamstress or cosplayer or something like that, sewing or cutting a pattern or doing something. So I came up with this, and I also thought, I was like, well, why don't I do her making a pattern for like a dress or a shirt or whatever she's making, and then put an actual pattern on the fabric that she's using. This is another one of my favorites. I actually really like how this turned out. So clearly when you have the prompt snow, you can obviously do like a snowman or something like that, but I wanted to do Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. So I did this wonderful portrait of Kit Harington as Jon Snow. I've been watching a lot of Paulina Bright's Instagram and kind of how she does portraits and shadows on her faces and whatnot. So I kind of got some of the shadows and ideas of doing the shadows on his face from her. And I'll link to her page up here somewhere so you can see her stuff. Her stuff is amazing. 12 was dragon. And for the dragon prompt, I knew I wanted to do gold. So I definitely was going to use the Winsor Newton gold metallic bronze ink that I got. So I wanted to use that, and it turned out so well. Inspired by the girl with the dragon tattoo, but she's a little more happy than Elizabeth Salander, I think. Day 13 was Ash. First thing I actually wanted to do, I thought about, was doing a drawing of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. Apparently he's become finally a Pokemon master. I don't know why it took so long, but anyway, I scrapped that and decided, why don't I actually draw actual ash? So I did some logs burning with some flames. That's so black. Look how black that is. Really, the Indian ink is ridiculously black. Look at that. That is black. Day 14 was Overgrown. Initially, I think I was going to do like the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman kind of idea. I really thought about doing that, and then I don't know. I typed in Overgrown in Google search and came up with this beautiful picture. I'm gonna put it down here. This beautiful picture, and used that as a reference for this shot. It was this beautiful, like maybe an old cathedral or whatnot that was overgrown with all this plant life and growth, and so I used that as my reference and inspiration for this particular piece. Originally, I was going to do Tim Curry's devil character from Legend. That's originally what I was going to do, but I just was kind of running out of time, and I thought about if I really wanted to do it, I wanted to really do it well, and I didn't think I had the time to do it. So I've kind of went to my alternative list and looked at King Arthur, and I was like, oh, the Sword in the Stone, clearly, and was inspired by that. This is like the Disney Sword in the Stone, before Arthur pulls it out and becomes king, or the king that will be. Day 16, Wild. I basically knew I wanted to do a wolf. I did this wonderful little silhouette of this wolf bang and howling against the backdrop of the moon and the stars. And I liked this little splatter technique I did kind of like for the stars. I used a toothbrush to kind of get this effect. Day 17, Ornament. Obviously when you think of ornaments, you think of probably Christmas and decorating a Christmas tree. So I thought, well, it is October, and you know, we do decorations for October, but usually for around Halloween. So why don't we have a Halloween spooky tree with ornaments on it? So that's basically what I did. So I had this really kind of 50s style girl in this very cute little dress that I designed, a little spiderweb dress, and she's decorating her Halloween tree. This is one of those ones when I was gazing through all the prompts and saw the word Misfit, I knew exactly what I wanted to draw. And I definitely had to draw the Misfits from Jim and the Holograms. Oh yeah, the one and only Misfits. Because, you know, their songs are better. I actually scanned this in before I added the green coloring to it because I loved it so much that I did want to maybe do an alternate drawing where I color like the whole thing. So you get Roxy's colors and all Stormer's colors and the rest of Pizzazz's purples and everything that would come into play. But yeah, so I definitely want to do a full color of this one, not just in the green. Day 19, Sling. I started out doing one drawing and you can kind of see the smudges of the eraser. I used an art gum eraser to try to erase the graphite, the lead, and it just did that horribleness over it. I was livid. With this book, don't use an art gum eraser. Don't do it. Just don't. So I started out with the original drawing and then I didn't like it. I didn't like where it was going, and then I did something completely different and did this kind of country girl with her little overalls, thinking about an alternative way to pick the apples and the fruit in her orchard. Day 20, Tread. Automatically knew I wanted to draw either boot prints or some kind of shoe print, or like this where I did a drawing of a shoe and then you can see the bottom of the other shoe, so you can see the tread, the actual tread of the shoe. 21 was Treasure, and obviously you think of maybe a treasure chest or pirates or gold, that kind of thing. So I did a treasure map. So you follow this map and you get to the X and you get treasure. Adding a compass and kind of like a string of pearls and maybe some gold coins and stuff up here. So I did kind of like an old piratey treasure map. 22, so the prompt was Ghost, and on my list I had written down Ghost, the wolf from Game of Thrones, but I figured since I'd already drawn Jon Snow and I already did a wolf back when I did Wild, I wasn't going to do another wolf. So then I thought, well, why not actually do a ghost or a spirit? I actually kind of think of this more as a spirit than a ghost, but interchangeable. So I just thought this was kind of a nice little thing. So you have this little person reaching up for the spirit of, I don't know, their passed away, maybe wife or girlfriend or whatever. Oh yeah, bringing back the gold ink for number 23, Ancient. Clearly I thought ancient Egypt, and I wanted to do kind of like a version of Cleopatra. This ink, I swear to goodness, is so awesome. Seriously guys, if you don't have this ink, get it. It's just so fun. Day 24, the prompt was dizzy, and I did a couple of different thumbnails. I did the spinning top from Inception, spinning around. I thought that would have been fun. And then I thought of a ballerina, which kind of ironically, we may get dizzy when looking at her, but she's not going to get dizzy because she's trained to not do that. But yeah, so I did this beautiful little ballerina. Day 25, the prompt was tasty. My first thought was thinking I'm going to draw somebody who's eating a bowl of spaghetti. And then I thought, wait, isn't there some classic scene where somebody's eating spaghetti? Oh yeah! Lady and the Tramp. From my recollection, this is the first movie I ever saw in theaters, and loved it, clearly. But yeah, I had to draw this classic scene of Tramp and Lady eating this bowl of spaghetti for the prompt tasty. And yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites. And this is one of the few that I actually used more than just one color, because I couldn't do the scene doing just one color. I had to just do the full thing, obviously including Lady's beautiful blue teal collar. Had to include that. But yeah, prompt 26 was dark, and I did a little sketch. I actually really like my little thumbnail for this one, and it's that's my little thumbnail for dark, and that's what I did. It's pretty much the same, except she's not as chibi. But yeah, this was mostly an excuse for me to be able to use my white Bombay PH Martin ink, because I couldn't think of a way to use it except to do some kind of dark gray wash, and then use the white to kind of highlight her out. So it was the perfect prompt to be able to use that. Number 27 was coat, and obviously I wanted to draw this fancy lady wearing her coat, strolling about the city, and I like the contrast of her wearing this coat, this big fluffy furry coat, and wearing sunglasses. You know, she's in New York. She wants to be cool. So, you know, I'm wearing these sunglasses. I don't care how cold it is. I'm wearing them. This actually was a last minute addition. I was trying to think of what to do for her background other than just doing a wash, which I did. And I was like, what if I put the city behind her? So she's like strolling down the street or something. So, yeah, I actually like that last minute addition. Turned out really well. Day 28, the prompt was ride. And then I was like, ooh, what if I do a horse-drawn carriage, like old school? So I found like a picture, like an illustration online that I kind of used as my reference for this. I also learned with this that I need to work on drawing animals more. The horse turned out pretty well. This leg is a little wonky, but yeah, I should practice drawing animals a little bit more. And I kind of felt that drawing here. I was like, I know how he's supposed to look, and he looks pretty good. So that's something I'll work on, is drawing animals more. Day 29, the prompt was injured, and I thought of, what if I show a guy getting punched, and then decided to kind of make it almost like a manga panel. So it's like an action panel. So he's getting punched in the face. I like the red glove over here, and everything else is in black and white. I really like that. This right here is one of those kind of actually slightly happy accidents I had with the speedball pen, where I was going along and outlining my sketch, and then that happened. And I was like, no. And, but luckily it kind of happened at a fairly decent point, and I could kind of use it as a shadow. And then, so I kind of worked around it. We're almost there. We're almost there. That's what I kept thinking to myself when I got to this day. I was like, oh my goodness, I've got 2 more days. Day 30, day 31. Oh, I'm almost there. So close. I can taste it. Let's keep going. Day 30, catch. On my list, I had obviously sports, and I thought of animals, and you could catch a cold. And then I thought of butterflies. Oh yeah, you can catch butterflies. And so I did this cute little girl in this adorable dress. And she's got her net to catch some cute little butterflies. And last but not least, final day, day 31, almost over. Prompt is ripe. So obviously for ripe, I think of fruit. That's the main thing that anybody, I think, really thinks of when they think of the word ripe. And so this is, like I said, one of the other few that I used multiple colors. I actually just used 2 colors in this. I used a red and a green that I had not used yet, and mixed them together, and they came out with these kind of beautiful purple color. So you can kind of see the pinky red here, and then this is obviously the green. And using the India black ink here for the branches. I remember when I finished this, I was so ecstatic because it meant I had actually finished Inktober. I had actually completed 31 individual little illustrations, little drawings, and I was really, really happy. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching this video. I hope it gave you a little bit more insight on how I did all of my Inktober drawings this year. Hopefully maybe it gave you some inspiration for next year's Inktober, or just, you know, your future drawings in particular. Also, a little bit of a spoiler alert. So my next video will be me decorating the cover of my Inktober 2019 sketchbook. I'm kind of using it as a big thank you to myself for actually finishing it and completing it. So I'm going to be painting the cover and stuff with some acrylics. So that's an upcoming video, just so you know. And as always, if you enjoyed watching this video, feel free to give it a nice thumbs up down below. And if you hit that notification bell or that red subscribe button, that way you'll know about new videos when they come out. And also you can follow my artistic journey on Twitter or Instagram at E.Stampley Art. As always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed Inktober as much as I did this year, and I can't wait till next year, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye!